Hi, Payal. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and chat with you. So thank you.
Yeah, so you are the Affirmation Addict, which we met a couple of years ago, and I mean, you had a great following then, but since then, it seems like it's exploding.
Yeah.
And what's so neat is that even on your social media, it's that I feel so excited to support it and get behind it because your meaning and your intention and what you're sharing is so heartfelt and so beneficial.
Thank you. That means the world to me. Yeah, I think we connected like right when I started. Because I started in 2019, I think.
Oh,
So we
wow.
connected right then, right when we started. I was like my first collab, like the first person I'm chatting with. It was so exciting. I always remember it.
Oh, that's incredible. I love
Yeah.
that. So what is your background? Like how did you get started in creating affirmations? Where are you from? Like all of the goodies. I'd love
Yeah.
to hear the story.
Absolutely. So I'll just share a little bit about myself. So I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, born and raised here. My parents are from India. So first generation, me and my brother were born in the States.
Wow.
And essentially, affirmations were introduced to me when I was 12 years old. So my mom was like, there's this documentary we all have to watch, and we're going to sit and watch it as a family. It was a secret. And as a 12-year-old girl, that was like magic to me. I was like, oh my goodness, this is the coolest thing ever. I'm going to try it. So I remember that night I made my first vision board. I still have it to that day.
Oh,
And my mom saw how excited I was, so she gave me the book "You Can Heal Your Life" by Louise Hayes, and she's kind of the affirmation queen. She started it and introduced the world to that concept, and
yeah.
it was so inspiring for me because I was, as a 12-year-old, I was manifesting and trying to affirm very surface level stuff like different treats, days off of school, things like that.
Yeah.
I really took it through me through high school and through getting my first job and college and getting my dream job that I thought at the time. So affirmations truly carried through my entire childhood, or my like young adulthood, I would say. I don't know what that age is called, like 12 to 25. It was
Yeah.
so important for me. I did them every day. And sometimes I skipped days, but it was really whenever I wasn't feeling good, it always brought me kind of home to my heart. So affirmations were so important for me. And really the reason I started sharing about affirmations was because, as I shared, like I got my dream job. I was a consultant for a big firm, got paid to travel, all that stuff
Wow.
I thought I wanted. And I realized I hated it. I was so
Mm.
unfulfilled. Like week one, I was like, uh-oh, like this was my dream and I don't like it. So now what? And it was really kind of hard for me because not only did I hate my job that I thought I wanted all throughout college, but then my boyfriend and now husband was deployed, and it was our first deployment together. And this deployment, because he was in Ranger Battalion, we couldn't talk. We talked maybe once a week for 5 minutes, so no texting, no FaceTime, all of that. And I was in a whole different city with no friends really. So it was just a really low point for me. And I remember I would call my parents almost daily and say, I hate my job. I don't like my life right now, and I don't know what to do. And they would just honestly be super supportive and talk to me. And they're like, you can do this, push through. But I really came back to my affirmations at that point, and I was like, I am really ready to find my purpose. I'm ready to find something that is more meaningful for me. And I did that for a couple months. And a few months later, we were on a family trip. And I remember we were in Thailand. I still remember we were like in a cab, and it was really for me that I was searching, and I was searching for an affirmation app. And there was tons,
Mm.
there still are tons, but none of them felt like what I was looking for. They were all very just kind of basic, and that's okay. But I just felt like there was something deeper and something that like resonated with me from like a younger person aesthetically, all of those things. They all felt very, I don't know, I felt like my mom could use it. And I was like, well, I want something I want to use too, just like a
Yeah.
little catered. And so that was like, I was like, well, maybe I can do it. And that's kind of when the light bulb went off. And so
I love those moments.
Yeah, it was such a light bulb. And I knew I was going to do it. And so basically fast forward, I started the app, started developing, and it took a long time, but I started my Instagram page simultaneously and then decided to quit my job because it was just running the Instagram page, like no income, no sponsorships. I still don't do that really. Yeah. It was so much more fulfilling to me than my job. I was like, if this is bringing me that much joy, I will figure it out. I don't know how, but I will. And so the fact that I was like sneaking away to the bathroom in between meetings to type up captions, I was like, that's how I know this is way more fulfilling for me, and sharing it with people, and whatever comes out of it will come. But that was kind of my turning point where I was like, you know what? It's not worth it for me to feel that unhappy. So that's what made me quit my job. And then it's been my full-time thing since then. And so it's been really, really awesome.
Well, one note, it's really funny. I know myself when I'm in the shower and I have to have a notebook outside of it to write down, like I know I'm on my purpose. Yeah. And I'm excited. So when you said it, your job, you're sneaking away to write it down. It's like, there's nothing better than that feeling. For people who don't know, who are just beginning, or like, what's an affirmation? What is an affirmation?
Yeah, so I love explaining affirmations, as affirmations are really every sentence we speak, every thought we think. But when you're doing affirmations on purpose, what the whole point is, you're trying to say positive statements that can help you reprogram your brain. And the way they reprogram your brain is through repetition. And so whether you're seeing it, you're writing it down, you're repeating it out loud, that's where the affirmation does its magic. And the reason I really like to remind people that every sentence and every thought is an affirmation is because it's really easy to do affirmations for 2 minutes in the morning and forget the rest of your day. But we forget that all the conversations we're having, whether it's with family, with friends, those are also still being heard by your mind. So they're still working, right? They're still impacting your brain. So I like to remind people that yes, affirmations are those positive statements we try and reframe our brains with, but kind of diving deeper, every sentence is also an affirmation. Does that mean you have to be positive all the time? No, absolutely not. I think it's just a really good reminder to be self-aware that, like, if you're gossiping or just chatting with someone, do I really want to continue that? Like, it's okay to do it. It's not a bad thing. We all do it. But is it really like helping me get further to where I want to go? So just kind of having a little bit of that self-awareness has really helped me in my kind of, not only in my spiritual journey, but also in my relationship with family and friends and in my workspace and throughout. Like a very holistic approach is what I like to kind of call it.
Yeah. And the mindset, the power of the awareness of your mindset, like kind of the symbolism that I envisioned just now was like when you wake up and you make yourself a healthy smoothie to start the day. And then by the end of the day, you're like eating crap, right? Because you're kind of, and that's the same as a mindset, right? With an affirmation, it's like amazing, start your day out, bam, catch your negative thoughts, reframe them. But the more practice you do that, by the end of the day, you're realigning yourself more and more just by being aware of it, right?
Exactly. And the biggest thing is if you can just notice your self-talk and just the things you're talking about without judgment, because it's super easy to be like, oh my God, I'm full of so many negative thoughts. It's not like your fault or anybody's fault. So if you don't like it, then just work on changing it versus saying, like, kind of, it's really easy to go deep into why is this happening? Why do I have so many negative thoughts? But I don't recommend trying to understand why you have so many negative thoughts about other things. I really recommend getting to the root and saying, okay, I know I want to change these. So let's first work on changing. And then once you can start shifting, then you can dig deep to the root, because it's very easy to judge yourself on that journey. So I really like getting that self-judgment out of the way before we dive into what's the root cause. Because if you're going to judge yourself the entire journey, we're not going to get anywhere. And that's not fair to you either, because it's not your fault.
Yeah, like you can't beat yourself up in the middle of trying to discover and enlighten a higher thought, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How would I create an affirmation? Are there steps to it?
There's really not steps to it. I would say there's definitely key components to it. So one of the key components is you always want it to be in the present tense. And the other one is you want to focus on the things that you want. And you don't want to use words like no, can't. A lot of people put affirmations on social media. I see it all the time. There's always like, I am not worthy of people disrespecting me, something like that. Yeah. And if you think about it, that I am not worthy, you're focusing so much energy on the disrespect that that's what's actually going to manifest. And the subconscious mind doesn't understand the concept of our language. It doesn't understand no. It doesn't understand cannot. So you want to really focus your affirmations on what you want. So for example, let's talk about health. That's a big one. And a lot of people say, I don't want to get sick. How many times in a conversation are you saying, I don't want to get sick? That's like our normal flow. But when you're really trying to be conscious and say an affirmation, you want to say, I am healthy and my body is healthy. So notice I did not use the word sick and I didn't use the words no and not, and it's in the present tense versus in the future or the past. So those are the really key points is present tense, avoid like negatory words, and focusing on what you want, because it's really in our day-to-day and how like as English speakers we speak, we definitely focus on the things we don't want more. That's just like our language. Yeah. However, when you're trying to be conscious about it, you'll start to notice how much you can shift, and it's so easy to do. And it's such a little shift that it makes such a big difference.
Well, and even when you said, I don't want to get sick, my energy was like, no, I don't want to get sick.
Yeah.
Like, I am healthy. I am living a healthy life. It's inspiring. You can feel the difference right then.
Absolutely.
Like, right? So even as you're practicing creating an affirmation, it's like, how does it make you feel? Are you excited, uplifted, or are you more in fear or stepping back?
That's such a great point. And I think just even like when you're absorbing things on social media, things in the news, media, a lot of things are fear-based. So a really good thing I like to, like if you're absorbing information of any way, the information we absorb impacts our minds, like movies we watch, TV shows we watch. I'm not saying like only watch like animals, that's just like the only possible thing. I'm not saying that, but like just being mindful of it, like just being aware. Like if you're watching like a crime murder series, is that the best for your brain? Most likely not. But if you can separate and you can be like, yeah, this isn't impacting me, then you're able to separate that. Because I have personal family friends and like even like family who love like drama shows, and they're like, well, I know they've told me eventually, they're like, I kind of notice I like seek that out in my own life. And so I'm like, okay, good awareness. And so she was like, I seek out drama, or I'm like so full of fear. I'm scared someone's going to rob me, like, because they're watching all these crime shows. And so it's really interesting how our brain is impacted by everything. It's not just the sentences we say to ourselves, it's what we're absorbing too. So a really good way if you're starting to feel heavy when you're reading the news or scrolling on someone's social media account, if you feel a heaviness and it's almost that addicting kind of heaviness, it might be a good way for you to be like, maybe my intuition, maybe it's not aligned with this. So maybe I can explore a different type of someone who communicates in a different way. And it's a really good self-awareness check, as if it's making you feel heavy or if it's making you feel light or inspired. And that goes for anything. I love that you said that.
And that's such a good tip, because I think right now, especially, we see that a lot, and my family as well, like, but in people who watch more of the news, and it's like they become the news, and no offense to them, and it's my family, so I'll be like, guys, you're watching way too much. But
that's like my in-laws, they really like watching the news, and sometimes they'll say things to me and Tom, like if we're driving home, I'm like, did she just say that? She sounds like she really heard that from somewhere else, because she never used to say those types of little warnings for me on our way home. Yes. So it's so funny.
But to have that consciousness separation is such a good thing to have in the back of your mind. Like, no, that's not me. This is just someone telling a story to me, I don't have to take on the fear-based mentality.
Exactly.
Right?
And reminding yourself too, I love that you use the word story, because so much of the way we process, the way our brain works, is through stories. And so we might have heard someone when we were little say something to us, and we've kind of made that part of our story, but you're able to change your story too. And so that's really where affirmations can come in and say, hey, if you do want to change your story, you repeat a different thing to yourself. Because if you think about it, like if you have an insecurity or something that triggers you, a lot of the time the source is from a story that you've experienced. So I know one for me is like, if I was bullied when I was younger, it was a story that I experienced that basically me being hairy for being Indian was a bad thing. But I was like, maybe I can reframe that and say, no, it's a good thing. And now it is. Now having long hair, having thick hair is a good thing. That doesn't make it okay. But it just reminds you as a person that your insecurities are really dependent on stories other people have told you.
Yeah.
So can you shift their story? Because their story of you doesn't have to be your own. And you're allowed to choose your own story and see yourself in your own light. And that's really where I love bringing affirmations in and using it to create your own story, whether it's at an identity level, right? Like, am I a good person? And those types of things, as well as things I want to experience in my life. I wanted to experience my own business. I wanted to experience getting married in India. So you can manifest for physical things, but you can also really manifest on an internal level your self story. Because I think a lot of people, when they hear about manifesting, you think about, okay, I want to manifest a new car, a new home, which is fun. It's great. And if that's what you want, that's amazing. But I also think fundamentally, from what I've seen and from what I've learned on my own journey, everything boils down to like how I see myself and my self-perception and my self-worth. And so I love starting people out and really kind of creating their own identity from like a feeling perspective. Like, how do you want to feel? Do you want to feel confident? Do you want to feel enough? Those types of things I think are so much more empowering than manifesting like a cool house or a cool car or an extra $1,000, whatever. Those physical things, I love bringing them back to like the soul level and internal, because I feel like that level of peace is unmatched.
Well, and those things, the physical things, are usually a means to get to an emotional place that you think, right? Because like, as soon as I have that house, I'm going to feel fulfilled. I'm going to be happy. And unless you do the internal work, which can be done through affirmations, you're going to get to that house and you're going to feel the exact same way you did before.
Exactly.
Which is really incredible. I've never really thought of affirmations in this way, in that it's a tool for everything. It's a tool for you emotionally, like physically, mentally, and also manifesting what you want in the external world, which is such a fun tool to have to work with every day.
Yeah, I completely agree, because I think when people hear affirmations and manifesting, it's very much so that surface level, getting those material things. But what I really like to ask people, and especially in like my programs, I'm like, why do you want that? What do you think you're going to get? Like you said, and they're like, well, I think I'll be happy. And the biggest kind of trick in manifesting is if you can embody what you think you're going to feel in the future, you'll almost always get to it faster, because we don't realize, we're like, oh, I want that house, but you're really chasing that feeling. And if you can start to embody that feeling now, because of what you already have, so gratitude and seeing everything that's around you, all the abundance that's already around you in the form of wealth, in the form of love, in the form of joy, then you'll most likely be able to start getting that sort of abundance, getting that sort of wealth, getting that sort of joy in so many other ways. It's so kind of paradoxical and confusing for people, because it feels like, well, I need to say affirmations to get there, but you also need to say affirmations for you and for your inner being, you know?
One lesson that was profound in this, and it has to do with love. And of course, everyone loves to talk about love or finding your soulmate.
Yeah.
And it was along these lines, and you said it better, but it was like, well, you know, a lot of people like to make their list of what they want their partner to have, what they want their soulmate to have, right? I want this quality and this quality and this quality. And the woman I was working with at the time was like, well, what are yours? What do you want to, how do you want to feel? Where are you at? And it's like, oh, and she said, you have to start living that now. You can't wait for this person to come and then step into that ball game of self-fulfillment and everything. And she's like, yeah, like be the goddess you are now, not just
absolutely.
It was the greatest advice, because that need and that want of a soulmate partner then dissipated. I'm like, oh, that will come at its right time, because I'm living in my truth and how I want to feel.
Right? Exactly. I love that. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And a lot of people ask me, how do you manifest your soulmate? And I'm like, focus on self-love. And it's never the answer they want to hear.
No.
And it really, and that's what happened with me, is I was in a relationship for 3 years, and I finally was like, this is not fulfilling. I'm going to focus on me. And it was the first time I felt like I've ever had the confidence to do that in my life. And I was like, I'm going to go on trips by myself. I just went full force the other way. And literally a week later, I met Tom. And I wasn't expecting him. And I, like, not that I didn't want him, but I wasn't even trying. And it happened because I gave myself the credit I needed to give. And I gave myself the space I needed to give myself. And because I almost released the pressure off of it, it came quicker. So it's wild and so intentional the way that works. It's such a mind game, but I think it's such a beautiful journey too.
It is, and that's a beautiful lesson.
Yeah.
Do you have like an all-time favorite go-to affirmation?
Yeah, I would say, really reflective of our conversation we've had, is my favorite one is I'm worthy and I am enough. Because from my work and from seeing people and talking to people, everything is always boiled down to they don't feel worthy for something, or they don't feel like it's enough. And so knowing that like everything you need is within you, I am worthy, I am enough just as I am. It's so simple and it's so easy to say, but really feeling it. And one thing I like to recommend people is, it's overkill, it's a lot, but try repeating it like 100 times in your day. And if you think about it, it probably will take you 2 minutes for how fast we speak, is 2 minutes of your day. But I've given this exercise to so many people, and they're like, literally, I can feel the shift in my energy. I feel different. And so if you're new and you want to try and you want to just feel something, I really recommend saying that affirmation 100 times, and it'll feel like a lot. You might resist. Your kind of ego self might resist and say, no, I don't want to say it. I'll push it off. And that's okay. But whenever you feel ready, try it out. And I really think you might experience some really cool shit.
Oh, let's do that as a Modern Muse challenge.
I love that. Yeah, let's do it.
And plus that affirmation, I mean, how many times a day, especially as women, I can't speak for men, but I guess all humans, how many times a day are we beating ourselves up for not being enough, even just subconsciously? So it's like, the second I'm cooking breakfast for my girls this morning, it's like, I'm not getting enough done,
we're just like so much pressure on ourselves. Absolutely.
So that affirmation is like this clean slate and this beautiful reminder that you're enough. Which is amazing. I was on your Instagram scrolling through it's hard to pick just one, but another affirmation I loved was, my purpose is to be the truest and most authentic version of myself.
I love that. Yeah, because I think it's so easy to like search for your purpose. I mean, I said it too. I was searching for my purpose. And even now I'm like, I don't think our purpose needs to define us. I think it's like a really imaginative idea we have. I don't think our purpose and that like meaning needs to be defined, because it's almost limiting. We're almost limiting ourselves to a box if we're like, yep, affirmations are my purpose. Well, what if there's also more? And I really feel like it can be kind of limiting to search for like a single purpose. And instead of searching for a purpose, just searching for and doing what makes you feel good, what makes you feel light, what makes you feel joy, I
love that. That's it. I think that is the purpose in a sense.
Yeah.
To be authentically yourself and define what brings you joy.
Yeah.
Now you have a lot going on. You have your app.
Yeah.
What is the name of your app?
It's called Affirm It. So it's on iOS. It's also on Android. So it's on both platforms, and you get a free 7-day trial, but then it's a subscription based, and it's under $5 a month, and there's so much in there. So if you do want to, please go check it out. I think you'll love it.
Yes. Okay, that's amazing. And I'll send links through the interview as well. And then are you doing a podcast as well?
Yep, I have a podcast. It's called the Affirmation Addict podcast. So it's everywhere podcasts are, and I hope you like it.
That's so cool. And then you have something called Align Your Mind.
I do. So that is actually, doors are opening next week. Ooh. And it is a program. It's kind of an 8-week intensive of a lot of the stuff we talked about, just really understanding manifestation and yourself, and taking you on a journey to kind of understand where your thoughts are now, unlearn, figure out where you want to go, rewire and reprogram, and really shift your reality from the next point forward. So that's kind of what I teach. It's everything I know about manifestation in a general sense, in one little package. And we kind of go through different areas of your life so you can understand different perspective shifts and how to navigate through.
Oh, that's powerful. So that's an 8-week. Is it all online, or do you do some live?
Yeah, so it's completely online, and the course content itself is pre-recorded, but then we do a weekly live Q&A. So that's with me, everybody in the room. So we have a live Q&A component, so we can chat, whether it's questions, maybe specific questions too. So we do get a lot of one-on-one time too.
And 8 weeks is a significant amount of time to really see some shifts.
It is.
Anyone who wants to kind of deep dive into manifestation and affirmations and shifting their mindset, like, this is going to be incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, I am so excited. We've done this, I think, 3 years now. So we do it once a year. And I, during those 8 weeks, just pour everything, and I'm just there. And it's so amazing seeing the different types of things people get to manifest, get to transform, different self-awareness. And one of the biggest things people are like, it really makes me understand where I'm supposed to be, how I'm supposed to show up. And it gives a lot of clarity in a really undescribable way. So I'm super excited. And if
I'm excited, I'm signing up.
Yeah.
I
would love to have you.
Amazing. It's like divine timing, it's perfect.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about it.
Perfect. And we can follow you at Affirmation Addict.
Yep.
What's your website again?
My website is affirmation-addict.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Payal. This has been beautiful, and I can't wait to do more things with you in the future.
Thank you so much for having me, Julie, and to all the Modern Muses. Thank you for listening and just being here with us.
Amazing. I'll see you soon. Thank you, love.
Bye.
Bye.